Hello everyone. In this session, we will discuss about what is optimum capital structure and what is EBIT EPS analysis. Okay, let us see what is optimum capital structure. Optimum capital structure is the structure at which market value per share is maximum and the cost of capital is minimum. That is, we consider a capital structure as an optimum capital structure whenever the value of the firm is increased and the overall cost of capital is decreased, or we can say the cost of capital is less and the market value of the firm is more. That capital structure we call it as optimum capital structure. Let us see some of the qualities. What are some of the characteristic features of a good capital structure? The capital structure should be simplicity. That is, the capital structure should not be complex. It should not having more different forms of long-term sources. It should be very simple. It should have a debt equity portion with some variations. You should not consider all the forms of long-term sources. Okay, it should be very simple. It should not be complex. And the capital structure should be flexible. Flexible in the sense, if you want to change the capital structure, if you want to increase the equity, or if you want to decrease the equity, or if you want to decrease the debt, increase the debt, we must be capable of changing the capital structure. That is, capital structure should be flexible capital structure. Okay, and the capital structure should have minimum risk. That is, the risk portion should be less. Okay, we should not go for high amount of debt portion. You should not go for high amount of equity portion. If you go for high amount of debt portion, or if you go for high amount of equity portion, then it is having a risk. Okay, we should have, the capital structure should have a minimum risk. Okay, and the cost of capital should be minimum cost of capital. That is, what is the cost of capital? Cost of capital is nothing but combination of cost of equity plus cost of debt. That is, cost of capital is combination of cost of equity plus cost of debt. That is, we should have a minimum cost of debt and a minimum cost of equity, which leads to form minimum cost of capital. That is, less cost of capital should be maintained. And sufficient liquidity. Our firm should maintain sufficient liquidity. We should not invest all the money in a fixed assets. We should maintain some liquid portion, and the firm should retain control over it. Whenever we issue high amount of equities, the ownership is diluted and the control over the business is not retained. So we should not go for high amount of retained earnings, high amount of equity shares, and we should, and the control of the business is in our control. Okay, then avoidance of unnecessary restrictions. That is, we should not have unnecessary restrictions. Avoid unnecessary restrictions on the capital structure. So, an optimum capital structure, a good capital structure should be very simple. Very simple. It should not be complex of various long-term sources, and it must be a flexible. That is, it can be changeable. It is having minimum risk, less risk, and minimum cost of capital, sufficient of liquidity, control over the business, and avoid unnecessary restrictions. Okay, coming to the next one, EBIT EPS analysis. Let us go for EBIT EPS analysis. As we know, EBIT, earnings before interest and tax. EPS, earnings per share. Okay, EBIT EPS analysis, we have to find the relationship between EBIT and EPS. Okay, and why this EBIT EPS analysis is done is, EBIT EPS analysis is an approach which helps in designing the optimum capital structure for a company or the firm. That is, we have to do the EBIT EPS analysis to knowing the optimum capital structure of the firm. Okay, to design various alternatives of debt, equity, preference shares in order to maximize the EPS and to give at a given level of EBIT. See, for a business, we have various alternatives. We have debt. We can select the debt. We can select equity. We can select a preference, or we can go for a combination of debt and equity. We can go for a combination of debt and preference. We can go for a combination of equity and preference. We can go combination of preference and equity. There are so many combinations, but these combinations should maximize the EPS with the given level of operating income, with the given level of EBIT. In order to know what is the level of EBIT and what is the EPS with the change of the combination of debt, equity and preference, we have to do the EBIT EPS analysis. Okay, next coming to, it estimates how different capital structures affects the earnings available to shareholder, that is EPS. This EBIT EPS analysis will estimate how it will affect the EPS. Okay, that is how different capital structures, debt and equity, debt and preference, debt and preference, equity and preference, preference and debt. There are different types of capital structures. As in the previous sessions, we have gone for forms of capital structure, that is debt and equity and preference, in the different forms. Okay, out of these forms, which form of capital structure will maximize the value of the firm, which maximize the earnings, EPS, earnings to the shareholder? In order to know, we have to go for EBIT EPS analysis. Okay, it is the analysis to affect the financing alternatives on the earnings per share. In order to affect the financing alternatives, we have to use this EPS analysis. Okay, to design the capital structure of the firm in such a way so as to minimize the cost of capital, we have to design the capital structure to minimize the cost of capital. Okay, next, EBIT EPS analysis is the method to study the effect of leverage under alternative methods of financing. Okay, that is, we have to know the leverage, that is fixed amount of charges, how it affects the financing decision also can be known through EBIT EPS analysis. Okay, let us go for how to calculate EBIT, how to calculate the EPS. Okay, next, first we go for sales value. For example, sales, that is sales revenue. How do we get the sales revenue? Number of products into price will give us sales revenue. For example, we have 10 products and we sold each product with a value of 20 rupees. Okay, now what is the sales revenue? Sales revenue is 200. Okay, minus, what sales revenue is 200, minus variable cost. What is variable cost? Variable cost is nothing but the cost is changing with the increase in the production, with the increase in the sales, with the increase in the production, we call it as variable cost. That is for example, for 10 products the variable cost is considered as 2 rupees. Okay, so what is the variable cost here? 20. Okay, 10 products, each product is having 2 rupees of variable cost, so that we have 20 rupees of variable cost. Okay, so sales is 200. How do we get the sales? 10 products, 20 rupees, 10 into 20, 200. Variable cost is 10 products, 2 rupees of variable cost. What is variable cost? The cost is changing with the number of products produced. If you produce more number of products, then variable cost will increase. Consider 2 rupees of variable cost per unit. 10 into 20, 10 into 2 gives us 20. Okay, variable sales minus variable cost will give us the contribution. That is 200 minus 20 will give us 180 rupees. Okay, then coming to fixed cost. Okay, contribution, sales minus variable cost gives us contribution. Contribution minus fixed cost. What is fixed cost? The cost is fixed and it is not changed with the production. Okay, if you produce 100 products, the cost is same. If you produce 200 products, the cost is same. That cost we call it as fixed cost. Okay, consider fixed cost of 50 rupees. This fixed cost is not relevant to the number of products. If you produce 10 products, 20 products, 50 products, 100 products, the fixed cost is same. That we call it as fixed cost. Okay, there is no change with the increase in the that we call it as fixed cost. Okay, then this contribution minus fixed cost will gives us EBIT, that is 180 minus 50 gives us 130 rupees. Then coming to interest, that is what is the portion of debt, what is the percentage of interest. If the debt portion is based on interest, for example 1000 rupees of debt, 2% of interest, so what you will do, 1000 into 2 by 100, like this. Okay, now consider it interest of 30 rupees. So we'll get EBIT of 100 rupees. Okay, now we go for next tax. Okay, consider 30% tax, that is out of this EBIT is nothing but earnings before tax. This is earnings before interest and tax. If we reduce the interest, we get earnings before tax. Okay, now tax is 30%, consider 30%. So 30% is 100, out of 100, 30% is 30 rupees. Okay, so we get earnings available to shareholders is 70 rupees. Okay, now consider we have 50 equity shareholders. Okay, now what is the EPS is 70 by 50. Okay, now simply you can understand how to calculate this EBIT and EPS is sales revenue minus variable cost will gives us contribution minus fixed cost will gives us EBIT minus interest will gives us EBT, that is earnings before tax, minus tax will gives us earnings available to the shareholders, but divided by number of shares we get EPS. Okay, EPS is nothing but earnings available to the shareholders by number of equity shareholders. Okay, let us go for a small problem. Okay, now what is the relation between EBIT and EPS is? EPS is equal to EBIT minus 1 into 1 minus T, that is tax rate, minus PD, that is preference dividend, by N refers to number of shareholders. This is the formula. Okay, where EPS is equal to earnings per share, EBIT is equal to earnings before interest and tax, I is equal to interest rate charged per annum, that is per year, T is the tax rate, PD is the preference dividend, N is equal to number of shareholders. Okay, now go for a small problem. ABC company has currently an equity structure consists of 15,000 equity shares of 100 rupees each. Okay, the company is having 15,000 equity shares and each share is 100 rupees. Okay, the management is planning to raise 25 lakhs to finance a major program for expansion, and it consider 3 different financing alternatives. I think you understand. Very simple. A firm is having 15,000 of equity shares and each share value is 100 rupees. Okay, now it want to raise 25 lakhs. Why it need 25 lakhs? It want to start a new program. It want to finance a major program of expansion. So to get this 25 lakh rupees, it has 3 different alternatives. The first alternative is it can issue 25,000 shares. Each share is 100 rupees. 25,000 into 100, which gives us 25 lakhs. This is the first alternative. And the second alternative is it can get 25 lakhs with the 25 lakhs rupees. 25 lakhs, you can issue debentures of 25,000 rupees debentures at 8% interest rate each of 100 rupees. That is, each debenture value is 25,000 and each debenture is 100 rupees. It can issue 25,000 debentures with interest rate of 8%. Okay, this is one alternative. And the third alternative is it can go for preference shares of 25,000 preference shares each of 100 rupees. So very simple. Try to understand the problem. A company is having an equity shares of 15,000 equity shares, each share is 100 rupees. Again it want 25 lakh rupees. Okay, which is the best alternative among the three? It can go for 25,000 equity shares, each of 100 rupees. 25,000 into 100 gives us 25 lakhs. 25,000 rupees, 25 thousands of debentures, 25,000 number of debentures, each debenture is of 100 rupees. 25,000 into 100 which gives 25 lakh rupees, and interest rate is 8%. And it can go for a preference dividend of 25,000 debentures, 25,000 number of preference shares, each of 100 rupees. Okay, the company EBIT will be 8 lakhs. If you go for financing of 25 lakhs, company will get 8 lakh rupees of EBIT. Assume corporate tax of 50%. Determine the earnings per share in the each alternative. Let us go for the problem. Okay, the first one, what is the EBIT? 8 lakhs. See, for all the one it says that EBIT is 8 lakhs. Okay, then let's first, what is the first activity? Equity financing, that is 25,000 number of shares, in each share is 100 rupees. So 25,000 into 100 will get 25 lakhs. There is no debt in this first alternative. It is completely of equity financing and there is no debt. Okay, so no debt, no interest. Okay, so interest rate is interest is 0. So EBIT minus interest, that is we get 8 lakhs as it is. It is earning before interest but before tax, that is earnings after interest but before tax. We can simply say that earnings before tax is 8 lakhs less 50% tax rate, that is 8 lakhs into 50 by 100 we get 4 lakhs, that is 8 lakhs minus 4 lakhs will give us again 4 lakhs. Okay, that is, I think you don't get confused. Tax is 50%, that is 8 lakhs into 50 by 100 we get 4 lakhs. 8 lakhs minus 4 lakhs will give us 4 lakhs. As it is complete of equity financing, there is no preference dividend, so minus of 0 preference dividend. So earnings available to equity shareholders is 4 lakhs. Number of shares is 40,000. Okay, so what is the equity shareholders available? 4 lakhs. 4 lakhs by 40,000 will give us earnings per share is 10 rupees. Okay. Now how see the companies are, how do you get the number of equity shares here? The company is having already 15,000 equity shares and again it has issued 2,500 equity shares, total of 40,000 equity shares. Okay, 40,000 equity shares. And what is the amount available for equity shareholders is 4 lakhs. 4 lakhs by 40,000 gives us EPS of 10 rupees. Okay, next alternative. What is the next alternative? It can issue 25,000 debentures, each of 100 rupees with interest rate of 8%. Okay, let us go for the EBIT is same 8 lakhs. Okay, and what is interest here? 2 lakhs. How do you get this interest? 2 lakhs is 25,000 into 25 lakhs into 8%. We will get see here we have the second alternative. We have 25,000 of debentures, each is given at 100 rupees. The interest rate is 8%. 25,000 into 100, that is 25 lakhs. 25 lakhs into 8 by 100 will get 2 lakhs. 2 lakhs of interest, that is 8 lakhs minus 2 lakhs will give us 6 lakhs. 50% tax, 6 lakhs into 50 by 100 will get 3 lakhs. 6 lakhs minus 3 lakhs will give us 3 lakhs. There is no preference dividend because it is completely of debt financing. So we will get 3 lakhs as it is. How many number of equity shareholders are available? Because it is only 15,000. Why? Because it is not going for any equity. It is completely dependent on debt. So it is having only 15,000 equity shares. That is 3 lakhs by 15,000 equity shares will get 20 rupees of EPS. Now the next one is what is third alternative? The third alternative is it can go for 25,000 of preference shares, each of 100 rupees. 25,000 into 100 will give us 25 lakh rupees. That is 8 lakh rupees of EBIT, and there is no interest because it is of preference Okay, what is the third alternative here? The third alternative is it can go for preference of 25,000 preference shares, each of 100 rupees, that is we get 25 lakhs. Okay, there is 8 lakhs is EBIT is common for all the three alternatives. There is no interest because it is preference one, and 8 lakhs minus 0, that is 8 lakhs, and tax rate is for 50%. 8 lakhs into 50 by 100 we get 4 lakhs. That is 8 lakhs minus 4 lakhs will give us 4 lakhs less preference dividend. How do we get this preference dividend? We get that we have gone for each of 100 rupees, so 10% will get the 2 lakhs, that is 2 sorry we can go for 2 lakhs of preference dividend. Then 4 lakhs minus 2 lakhs will give us 2 lakhs, that is number of equity shareholders available is 15,000, because it has not gone for additional shares. Only in the first alternative only it has gone for additional shares of 25,000. So 15,000 of additional shares, 50,000 of shares, right? 2 lakhs by 20 lakhs by this 15,000 will give us 13.33 of EPS. So very simple. In the first alternative it has gone for issue of shares of 25,000 shares, additional shares. 15,000 plus 25,000 will give us 40,000 of equity shares. In the second one it is completely of debt, so interest is 2 lakhs and there is no additional shares, so we have gone for only 15,000 rupees, 15,000 of 50,000 of equity shares. And the third one we have gone for preference dividend of 2 lakh rupees, 2 lakh preference dividends of 2 lakh rupees, and there is no additional shares because it is a preference one, so we get 13.33. Out of the three alternatives, the alternative of issuing of 25,000 debentures with 8% of interest rate will increases the EPS, that is it will gives us the earnings per share of 20 rupees. Okay, it is, if you go for debt financing it gives only 10 rupees of EPS. If you go for preference financing it gives us only 13.33% of EPS, whereas if you go for 25,000 of equity shares, each of 100 rupees, I'm sorry, if you go for 25,000 rupees, 25,000 of debentures with 8% of interest rate, so that we get 25 lakh rupees and the EPS is 20. Okay, then next problem, we go for next problem. See, it is also the same. Sorry, the capital structure of the Gupta Company Limited is 4,000 rupee, 4,000 debentures, 5% interest, 4,000 debentures issued at 100 rupees. So 4,000 into 100 will give us 4 lakh rupees. Interest rate is 5%. And the other alternative is 2,000 preference shares. Each preference share is given for 100 rupees. 2,000 into 100 will give us 2 lakhs. And we have 4,000 of equity shares. Each share is 100 rupees, which gives us 4 lakhs. So what is the total capital? 4 lakhs of debentures, 4 lakhs of debt, 2 lakhs of preference, 4 lakhs of equity, total of 10 lakhs. The present I'm sorry, the present earnings of the company before interest and tax, that is EBIT, are 10% of invested capital every year. That is, what is the EBIT? 10% of the invested capital, that is 10% of 10 lakhs, 10% into 10 by 100. Okay, the company is needed 2 lakhs for purchasing new equipment, and it is estimated that additional investment will produce 10% of EBIT every year. And it says that if the company is required 2 lakh rupees, additional 2 lakh rupees, if you go for additional 2 lakh rupees, the company will increase its EBIT by 10%. Okay, 10% of this 2 lakhs. Okay, then the company has asked to advise as whether to requisite amount we obtained in the form of 5% debentures, 5% debentures, that is this one, this option, first option, and 8% of preference shares, that is second alternative, second option, or we can go for the third alternative. We have 3 different alternatives, right? The company which alternative has to select. Okay, and as we know the corporate tax rate is 50%. So what we have to simply understand in this problem is a company required 2 lakh rupees. Okay, if the company can raise 2 lakh rupees, it can raise an additional EBIT of 10% of this 2 lakh rupees. It has three different alternatives to raise the 2 lakh rupees. It can go for debentures with 5% of interest rate. It can go for preference shares with 8% of interest rate. It can go for equity shares with 100 rupees of each. Okay, and the corporate tax is 8%, so 50%. Let us go for the calculation. The first the first one is the first alternative is present. We have the first situation, 1 lakh. The what is the EBIT here? That it says that 10% of the invested capital. 10% of invested capital is 10 lakhs into 10 by 100. So we get the EBIT of 1 lakh minus interest is 20,000. How do you get this interest of 20,000? Is as we says that here we have the 8%. Okay, so we get interest of 20,000 rupees. Okay, see here we get interest of 20,000. How do we get this interest of 20,000? Is it says that 5%, 5%. Okay, for 1 lakh, for 1 lakh, for 1 lakh, what is the sorry, I'm sorry, for 10 lakhs, the total capital is 10 lakhs. So what is the 10 lakhs, 10 lakhs into 50, sorry, okay, see here 1 lakh of EBIT minus interest of 20,000, which gives us 1 lakh minus 20,000 gives 80,000, tax of 40%, the 50%, 80,000, 1 lakh minus 20,000 gives us 80,000, minus 40,000 gives us 40,000 of VAT, minus preference dividends of 16,000. See here, what is the preference dividends here? 8, okay, that is 8, 2,000 into 8, 2 8 16. So we get so we get 16,000 of preference dividend. Okay, and this 40,000 minus 16,000 gives us 24,000. Now number of equity shares available is 4,000. See here, it is given 4,000 of equity shares. So we get 24,000 by 4,000, we get 6 rupees of EPS. Very simple. EBIT is 1 lakh, interest is 20,000. Why you get interest of 20,000 is 4,000 into 5. 4 5s are 20. Okay, so that we get the interest of 20,000. Okay, 4 lakhs into 5, that we get 20%. 20,000. 1 lakh minus 20,000 gives us 80,000. Tax of 40%, 50%, that is 40,000 gives us 40,000. Preference dividends is 16,000 rupees, that is 2 8s are, that is 2 lakhs into 8, we get 16,000 rupees of dividend, preference dividend, that is 40,000 minus 16 gives us 24,000. Number of equity shares available is 4,000. See, it is given that 4,000 of equity shares, so we get 24,000 by 4,000, we get 6,000. Next alternative is debentures, that is we go for debentures. Okay, it says that in the problem it says that if it can go for additional of 2 lakh rupees, it can raise 10% of EBIT. 20,000 into 10 by 100, which gives us 20,000. Okay, sorry, 2 lakhs, it has to raise 2 lakhs. 2 lakhs into 10 by 100. What it says in the problem, it is clearly mentioned that if we raise 2 lakh rupees, it can produce 10% of additional EBIT. Okay, now what is the present EBIT? Present EBIT is 10% of invested capital, that is 10 lakhs into 10 by 100 gives us 1 lakh. This 2 lakhs into 10% gives us 20,000. Okay, so we have gone for addition of 20,000 rupees. 1 lakh 20,000 is our EBIT in all the cases. Okay, then coming to interest. Interest is 30,000 and we will minus this 1 lakh 20,000 minus 30,000 gives us 90,000. Tax of 50%, that is 90 into 50 by 100, 45,000. Then we got preference dividends of 16,000, and again we get equity shareholders available is 29,000 by 4,000 will gives us EBIT of 7.25. Okay, now we go for the second alternative, that is preference shareholders. Here also the same, we go for 1,20,000 rupees of EBIT 20,000 rupees of, see, it has gone for preference shares. It has the EBIT is same, and the interest rate is 20,000, and 1,20,000 gives us 1 lakh, 50% of tax, and the preference dividends of 32,000, because it is a preference. Okay, so preference dividend was increased by 16,000, and then earnings available to shareholders is 18,000, by 4,000 will get 4.50, and then we go for equity shares. The next alternative is equity shares alternative, that is 1,20,000 of EBIT minus 20,000 of interest. We get 1 lakh rupees of EBIT, 50% of tax, then earning available to shareholders is 50,000. If there is preference dividends of only 16,000 rupees, there is no preference change in preference dividend, because it is of completely of equity shares. So that we get 34,000 minus number of equity shares is 6,000, because it is, we have gone for additional 2,000 of equity shares in order to raise the 2 lakh rupees. So we get 5.6n. Out of the three alternatives, the best alternative is the first alternative of raising debt source of 7 debt source with the debt source of 5% of interest rate. In order to raise this 2 lakh rupees, the best alternative is we have to raise in the form of debentures. Okay, because the EPS is high. Okay, thank you. If you have any doubts, you can contact me through a mail or through my phone. Okay, thank you.